Can we begin the housekeeping comments, please?
Thank you for participating in today's meeting. If attending in person, please do not connect to Zoom or teleconference while in the room, and please silence all devices. If translation is provided, click on the globe at the bottom of your screen to select either English or Spanish. Public comment will be taken after each item. If you're in the auditorium and wish to comment, please use the iPads located in the lobby or complete a blue speaker card as available. If you need assistance, please find a South Coast AQMD employee. Speakers may be limited to a total of 3 minutes or less for all agenda items. Times may be shortened to ensure all speakers can be heard. A countdown timer will be displayed on the screen for each public comment. More time will be allotted for Spanish translation that is not simultaneous. For questions or issues on making a public comment, please call the public advisor at 909-396-2432. That's 909-396-2432. Please adhere to the speaker time limit and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. Failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or you being removed from the meeting. Be aware that this meeting is being recorded. By participating, you authorize recording of audio and visual content presented during the live event and consent to subsequent use of the recording in the public domain by South Coast AQMD.
Good morning. I'd like to call the Health Effects of Air Pollution Foundation meeting to order of the South Coast Air Quality Management District. It's January 16th, 2026. It's 10:31 a.m. And can we have a roll call, please?
Good morning. Senator Delgado.
Good morning, I'm here.
Supervisor Hagman. And Chair Cacchiotti.
Here. It's a quorum, and we'll go to item number 1 is approved minutes of the March 8th, 2024 meeting, almost 2 years ago. Moved by Supervisor and seconded by Cacchiotti. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Senator Delgado.
Yes.
Supervisor Hagman. Chair Cacchiotti.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 2, background and health effects of air pollution foundation, an overview of steps leading up to the recommendation to conclude the foundation. Wayne Nastry, Executive Officer.
Thank you, Chair Cacchiotti. So South Coast AQMD's governing board established the Brain Tumor and Air Pollution Foundation originally in 2003. And it was really to look into the connection between air pollution and brain cancer. And there were a number of studies that were done during that time, but the board changed its name to the Health Effects of Air Pollution in 2017. At that point, the foundation's mission really expanded to support research of various health conditions that may be caused or aggravated by air pollution, not just that limited to brain cancer. And in March of 2022, the board discussed whether or not the foundation should continue to exist given federal programs that support the same research. So I know you're all familiar with National Institutes for Health, Centers for Disease Control, National Science Foundation, a whole host of federal agencies that had significant dollars attached to it and significant resources were doing these type of studies. And the South Coast AQMD has really never been a medical research or health research facility. Our goal is to reach attainment of the national standards and the California state standards as well. So that's where our focus has really been. And I think that the challenge that we've had in recent years is really having the resources to really address this, especially when so much other work was going on. And that's when we originally had gone back to the committee and made the recommendation to dissolve the foundation. That was back in April of 2022. So we still recommend proceeding in that fashion. I know that there was a lot of question about some of the research most recently that had been done, a few studies, and we're going to hear about those studies today. We have met with all of the principal investigators. We've determined that all of the existing contracts are completed and expired. And Dr. Quick, our health effects officer consultant, will be providing a verbal report on those funded programs. So with that, I can turn it over to Dr. Quick.
Good morning, everyone. Nicole Quick, Health Effects Officer Consultant here. I'm going to go over two of the studies that were not covered the last time we met and just give some high-level findings related to those. So the first one was Dr. Cho was looking at how air pollution essentially affects lungs and sort of building on some of the knowledge that we already have around this. Major findings related to that study is just that which I think everyone in this room probably knows, is that the air that we breathe in when there's pollutants in there can have a negative effect on lungs. Specifically, this study was looking at volatile organic compounds and some of the more reactive species within that. Did find that some pollutants irritate the lungs and trigger inflammation. We know that's a kind of known pathway of how pollution affects lungs. And then did also find another pathway of some of the damage that takes place, and that's essentially triggering some of the body's own defense systems, which creates a sort of a cascade of events that can also damage lung tissue. This study concluded that wildfire smoke, e-cigarette aerosols, and the such do contain these reactive chemicals, and that some of these are even more harmful than what is found in vehicle exhaust. So they did a comparison of some of the compounds there. They focused on a couple specific ones, and I think the important thing about that is that there's two pathways by which they were found some of these reactive species were damaging, and that was the direct inflammation, body's own defense system, and at times the body's own defense system is overwhelmed, leading to further sort of negative effects related to this. I think the biggest takeaway on this one, which is the conclusion, and I think is a core function of what we all do here, that the way to prevent this, of course, is to decrease the amount of VOCs and so forth that folks are breathing in. Second study that I want to cover is the study that Dr. Keith Black, some of the research that he has been working on. And this one is looking at some of the neurodegenerative diseases, particularly some of the dementias and Alzheimer's, and looking at what contributes as far as pollution related to the development of that and the progression of that. So the study that they did using mouse models, animal models, really did look at real-world pollution collected near freeways in Southern California and examining brain changes over time. Now, we do know there's a fairly good body of research out there that exposure to particulate and so forth is linked with neurodegenerative, particularly dementias. This study did expose mice to air pollution, and it did show that those mice developed changes consistent with these neurodegenerative disorders faster than those who are breathing clean air. Brain inflammation takes place before some of the cognitive effects, and that really showed that the classic plaques that form, you probably all have heard about plaques that are seen in folks that have Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative disorders. So it suggested that the pollution may set the disease process in motion long before symptoms appear. Structural damage, it did show that the pollution damaged the brain's supportive framework, that scaffolding that kind of allows the neurons and all those synapses to function. Pollution had a negative effect on that as well. The conclusions of this study, which I think we would agree with, is that the greatest risk is really for vulnerable populations. The harmful effect that they saw in these studies was strongest in mice that were already prone to dementia. So if you take an individual that's got a family history, other things that we maybe are only beginning to understand, and expose that individual to pollution, the effects were more profound. Once again, what does this reinforce in the big picture? It reinforces that when we talk about air pollution, we're not just talking about respiratory effects. We're really looking at things that are outside of this. This country and the world in general is facing a lot more, I'd say, challenges related to neurodegenerative diseases and dementia, and this is a contributing factor based on this. So this adds to that body of evidence. One other thing I want to highlight related to Dr. Black's studies is that the researchers did test new non-invasive approaches that may help protect. And so there was some suggestion there that there's some early intervention and strategies that could be deployed at like a population level to address this. So it's a bit outside of our scope, but promising as far as supporting Dr. Black as a researcher, because really what we're going to be looking for on a population level is what do you do about this? So takeaways on this one, pollution does lead to progression and faster progression of these neurodegenerative disorders. And once again, from a population perspective, our key mission here, in reducing that is critical. So those were the highlights of the two that we had not heard about before. Happy to try to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Quick. Kurt, no questions? Chair? No questions? And I know we talked to Wayne that will hopefully, if it's Dr. Quick or Dr. Cho, maybe a forward meeting February, March, April. Wayne, is it possible?
Yes, we're going to be looking into that and getting back with you on that.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. Is there any public comment in this item? No public comment. It's just a report. Item number 4, financial report fiscal year 23, 24, 25. Draft audited financial statements. Sujata Jain.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members of the Foundation. Sujata Jain, Treasurer of the Foundation. This item is to report that the Foundation received an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion for the 3 fiscal years, fiscal year 23, 24, and 25. The audit for the fiscal years was conducted by the audit firm of Lansall Lungard. And as of December 31st, 2025, the cash balance in the Foundation was $229,333. Happy to answer any questions.
Supervisor, any questions?
Sorry, I guess there is one question on the balance. There was
Yeah.
a balance, or is it?
Sorry, the balance?
Yeah.
229,000.
So where does that go, Wayne?
It's,
Go ahead.
So ultimately, those funds would need to go to another 501c3 organization that isn't the district. And so one of the items that we would be bringing to the governing board next month is to amend the articles of incorporation of this foundation to add so that another one can be added. And then at a future governing board, we would find out and figure out who that entity would be.
If I might,
Please.
yeah, so when we talked about this originally, we were supposed to do this some time ago. We talked about trying to offer small grants to folks who are doing community projects. I don't know if that's still feasible, but like $50,000, $100,000 to, nonprofits that are doing some air quality type work. But
As far as I know, there's no prohibition on us seeking qualifications or proposals to dispense of the remaining funds. My understanding, though, as we have this meeting, is that we are seeking the dissolution. Is that
Yes, so the articles would make it that once we add that entity, then it would be transferred to that and it would be dissolved. So we wouldn't, in theory, need to do anything else next month, but in the future.
But that's, I guess, my question, and I'm definitely not a legal beagle here, but if our agenda item number 5 is to dissolve the entity, then if we took a action item on that and dissolved it, then I would assume the funds have to go somewhere in holding until a new one would be found.
Yeah, that's correct. And so this would be a recommendation that would be going to the board, and then the board would be voting to amend the articles. And then once the article, so that the articles can be amended, and then once that were to happen, and then an entity found that could be put into there, then it would be dissolved.
But again, not to belabor, because we could put them in a trust account, not a problem. But instead of dissolving and then amending the dissolved
Sorry,
nonprofit,
it wouldn't be dissolved until the funds are gone.
okay, so we're really not dissolving, we're basically putting it on hold until we amend it.
I think we're pushing to dissolve just to not have future meetings. But it would be dissolved once the money is able to be gone to the other entity. So that's the recommendation that we're looking for, is just that this foundation is good with it being dissolved and just trying to get that part done.
Okay, and I assume the full AQMD board is the one that takes that action.
Yes.
So our recommendation number 5 would be this subcommittee recommending to the full board that we dissolve or transform this particular 501c into another entity and have no further meetings of this.
Yeah, for this, it wouldn't even need to go that far. It would just be recommending a dissolution, and the specific mechanics would be done at in the governing board. But yes, essentially.
So I'll move 4 and 5 with that instructions from our legal counsel, Mr. Chair.
Is that okay, by?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second that. And is there any public comment in this item? And just for clarification, I know the chair had brought up if there's multiple nonprofits, we can go to multiple in like 50, 25, 25, 25, or choose one from every county or something like that. If
Yeah,
possible.
maybe even amounts to 1 per county or something, so it's not too hard
Yeah.
with staff.
Good. Can bring that up.
Yes.
Okay, no public comment in the auditorium. Anybody online? Take a roll call.
Senator Delgado,
Yes.
Supervisor Hagman, Chair Cacchiotti.
Yes,
Motion passes.
great. Item number 6, any other business? Committee members or staff? Seeing none. Item number 7, public comment. Is there anybody in the auditorium who would like to comment at this time? Anybody online? See no hands raised, we'll move to, I guess that's it. Would that be, I don't see any adjournment on there, but I guess can we adjourn?
Yeah, usually we're adjourning to a future meeting, but
Right,
in theory,
there's no
won't be.
future meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds so final. Everything's
I
ending
know.
for me.
I was dissolved.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vanessa. Bye.